Well, welcome to episode 3 of Michael McCoy's Garden. And we're up to an entry labelled the 14th of September 1997. I immediately decided that I must have a gravel garden. Beth Chatto's gravel garden at her home White Barn in Essex, England, is the most incredible bit of planting. As far as I know, no one has tried anything similar in Australia, though some of the practical principles Beth adopted are highly desirable in our conditions, that is, no water and no lawn. But what I find most appealing about this form of gardening is the freedom to cut plants back throughout the growing season without exposing bare soil, and the opportunity for multiple viewpoints of a single planting. At the other end of the spectrum philosophically, I must have an herbaceous border, a deep, thirsty border with rich, dramatic colours. This will need at least a strip of emerald green lawn against which to bounce. There must be a vegetable garden, if only for salad greens during the warmer months. While all vegetables are better homegrown, the difference is more marked in some vegetables than others, and I only intend to grow a small number of vegetables that are vastly superior when homegrown. I guess that I shall grow peas and maybe sweet corn. At a pinch, I might squeeze in some tomatoes. I'd love to be able to grow globe artichokes. Having eaten them from the garden almost daily while working in England, I can't bring myself to buy the leathery, slightly shrunken looking things that are available here. Perhaps they're fresher in the city, but pride of place will go to the salad greens, the lettuces of many sorts, the rocket, the garden sorrel and chervil, the mustard leaves, and maybe fennel. Then I must have a woodland, which will be no more than a shady area. This is where the ailing plantsman will rule. I can't say that I'm confident that it'll look any good, but I need some space for those choice shade-loving plants, mostly spring flowering, like the trilliums and erythroniums, trout lilies, martagon lilies and aracemas, and of course, snowdrops. The qualities of elegance and poise have a disproportionately high representation in this group of plants from North America, the Himalayas, Japan, and other cool, moist, leaf-mouldy places. Warm climate gardeners the world over ache to be able to grow them. We can, and I shall. Now I'm going to break up this entry into two because it's a bit long. But it's interesting to reflect on what my desires were back in those days for the dry garden, for Beth Chatto's gravel garden and replicating that here in Australia, which I did do. But I do that very differently now too. I did a huge amount of soil preparation. It was almost like a border, but just using gravel as a mulch on top. And I think I do that differently now. I do a lot less soil preparation now, 20 years later. And I talked about my desire for a deep, thirsty border with a strip of emerald green turf. Well, that is no more in my desires. I'd love to be able to do it, but I just can't. Where I currently live now, I only have tank water and I just can't do anything. I can't plant anything that requires watering. So that particular heart's desire is gone. I still long for it, and one day I might be in a place where I have the tank availability or somehow have the water to do it, but right now I don't, so that's all gone. So it's interesting to think back on what I loved and longed for 23 years ago now when I was writing that entry, and just how much has changed over that time. Anyway, tomorrow we'll finish that entry about the things I was longing for and the things I really needed to pack into this garden. So join us tomorrow for episode 4.